We've all gone through the shift in the last several years where everything was in person. We never thought about pandemics. Then we had this years of thinking about pandemics. We all adapted to virtual and the chat became a regular part of our life, or work life at least. And now we're swinging back to this place where the question is, how do we use the chat in person? I've actually been asked that a number of times, and so this video is dedicated to 3 clever ways to use the chat in person. I don't literally mean being in tech on a chat. I mean 3 alternatives to using the chat to get meaningful participation in, to avoid groupthink, to hear multiple perspectives and multiple voices, to include voices that otherwise might be left out, etc. I'm actually genuinely really excited for this video because back in November, I published How to Make Virtual Engagement Easy. And I took all of the learnings of how to make in-person engagement easy and over the course of 2 years applied and warped and adapt them. And this is a really lovely resource for remote teams engagement. And now I'm taking everything that I learned virtually and did virtually and that stretched my skills and abilities and reapplying it to in-person engagement, and it's making in my in-person sessions and groups so much more fun and engaging. The first clever way is really fun and interactive and novel and easy to lead. The second way is by far my ultimate absolute favorite. In fact, some clients that I work with on an ongoing basis, they've adopted this word that I'm going to share with you as a part of their internal vocabulary. They say it as if it's actually in the dictionary, which it's not. And then the third one is actually something that I've seen a lot of people do poorly. And so I'm going to add a twist to it that will allow you to gain participation in a room in a more deliberate, intentional way. Because the whole purpose for doing this is when you invite other people to use their larynxes and contribute their voice to a space, the chances that they feel listened to go up. Right? The chances that if somebody gets to speak in the first 10 minutes of a meeting, that they're much more likely to contribute 2 hours later, or 2 weeks later, or 2 years later, right? So involving people in a process, making sure that their voices are heard and that you're not just designing all meetings for consumption, not contribution. So the first way is passing notes. Go back to grade school, middle school, high school. I don't know when you stopped passing notes or if you ever started, but bring a pack of 3x5 note cards to your meeting or your gathering. And once some content's been shared or an idea's been put out there, be like, pause, time to pass notes. Everybody write down your response to this or your idea to add to this, and you've got 3 minutes to just furiously pass notes around and read everybody else's ideas. You could do this one at a time verbally. It would take longer, it wouldn't be introvert friendly, and almost guaranteed you would exclude somebody's perspective. When you pass notes in class like this, you make sure that everybody's perspective is included. You exchange a lot of ideas a lot faster, so you actually end up saving time in the long run, and it's kind of fun and kinesthetic to do, and something that you can't do just in the chat. Second method, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you might have caught on to this one, but it's the idea of popcorn. I love inviting a group to popcorn out responses, and popcorn is paired for me with this hand motion. I can't say the word popcorn without doing this, and here's why. When I'm doing this hand motion, I'm gonna keep doing this because even if it's a little distracting, because I want you to remember this motion. If you're not a talker with your hands, when you do this method to invite people's perspective, I want you to get your hands out of your pockets and do this. The room's also a little warm and it's kind of a nice fan here too. Popcorn is the poison to report outs, which is good because report outs are boring. Right? If I've got a room with multiple people, we've got multiple small groups for a strategy session and all staff, some big meeting, oh my goodness, do I not want to do a report out at each table, because by the 7th table, I'm only going to be hearing the exact same content over and over again, right? Popcorn, the intention here is to say, hey, you just had a big discussion, or you just had a little breakout. What I want to do is popcorn out some ahas that you've just had. So I could do this at the end of a class if you're a teacher, do this at the end of a keynote if you're a speaker, I could do this at the end of a meeting if you're a leader. Get to the end or the middle and you say pause. I just want to hear some responses to this so far. I just want to popcorn out 5 to 7 responses real quick. You got 10 seconds to think of your response, and that's really important. I call it the popcorn method because when I put popcorn in my microwave, there's a period of time where it's silent. Just the microwave is going and there's no popping. And that silence is really important for things to heat up, for people's ideas to formulate. And then all of a sudden, pop, 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 pop. it gets really quick. And my mom always taught me to end the party while it's still fun. And so I don't know about your microwave, but if I don't open it about 20 seconds before the popcorn timer goes off, it will burn. And so you don't want to let this run too long. The idea is to get lots of voices out quickly. When I do popcorn, it should not take longer than 2 to 5, actually 5 minutes would be way too long. It does not take longer than 2 minutes to get everybody's responses out on the table. As the leader or the teacher or the speaker in that moment, I can then add butter to the popcorn by adding my own thoughts, by tying in, etc. And now anything I say is going to be really personally tied to what they've offered. And so it's become not just a one-way chat, but a dialogue back and forth, which is really, really valuable in terms of participation. Then the third one, which I think most people have heard about or done or been taught, but is this idea of a paired share. So you don't need to do everything in the large group. And so turn to your neighbor and share. You can give them a prompt or question. Just react to what you just heard, share what struck you about what you just heard or saw, etc. Do a paired share. Now the twist on that, typically we stop there and then maybe we come back and maybe there's a little popcorn after that. The twist is I would always invite you to have people popcorn out what they heard somebody else say, not what they said. So forget about what you said, but can you popcorn out what you heard somebody else say? And the value in that is when you have somebody else in your group actually share what they heard somebody else say, they're reflective listening and making that other person feel heard. It's also silently rewarding your group for listening. And so the next time they get into a conversation, they're gonna be a little bit more tuned in to what the other person has to say rather than just on the stage of me. If these three were cool, you will love this quick and unique 60-second icebreaker activity and this video right here. Have an awesome day.